In this video, we're diving into the gear setups used by some of the top professional saxophone players in the world. It's always fascinating to take a peek behind the curtain and see what our saxophone heroes are actually playing. From mouthpieces to reeds to the horns themselves, these choices all shape their sound in subtle but important ways. Now, let's be clear, the embouchure, that's your personal connection to the instrument, is responsible for the vast majority of your tone. But the gear, it still plays a role in refining and unlocking the full potential of your sound. Let's take a closer look at the setups the pros are using and what we can learn from them. Let's kick things off with Michael Brecker, a titan of the tenor sax and someone whose gear choices have fascinated players for decades. Throughout most of his career, Brecker played a Selmer Mark VI tenor saxophone, serial number around 86,000. A classic horn that many top pros swear by, but what really stands out about his setup is the custom work. His Mark VI had a silver neck and was modified in several places, including the thumb rest and key touches, to better suit his hands and playing style. When it comes to mouthpieces, he went through several phases. In his early years, he played metal Otto Link and Dukov pieces, both popular among jazz and fusion players. Later, he collaborated with Dave Guardala to develop the now famous MB model, designed to reduce resistance and ease throat strain, while keeping that signature Brecker punch. For reeds, he typically used La Voz Medium, a great match for his powerful, focused tone. And while tenor was his main voice, Brecker also played soprano and EWI, electronic wind instrument, extensively. On soprano, he often used a Selmer Mark VI with a metal Otto Link 7 mouthpiece, achieving a clear singing sound that cut through his fusion arrangements. His EWI work, especially in the 80s with Steps Ahead, showed his technical versatility and how technology could expand the saxophonist's palette. Brecker always emphasized that your air and concept matter most, but his gear reveals how a master fine-tunes his tools for maximum expression. Ever wondered how the world's greatest saxophonists get that rich, captivating tone? The Tone Bible reveals their secrets, the exercises, techniques, and mindset behind the sound. You'll learn how to play effortlessly across the full range, master expressive tools like ghost notes and growling, and shape your own unique voice. Plus, discover how mouthpieces, reeds, and setup choices transform your tone. The Tone Bible, your guide to sounding professional, powerful, and unmistakably you. Now let's talk about the legendary Cannonball Adderley, one of the most soulful alto players ever. Cannonball's setup was simple but incredibly effective. For much of his career, he played a King Super 20 alto saxophone, which had that fat, vibrant tone that perfectly matched his exuberant phrasing. Later on, he also used a Selmer Mark VI, but the King was the horn most associated with his sound. His mouthpiece of choice was a New York Meyer 5M, a hard rubber mouthpiece known for its warm, centered tone. He paired it with La Voz Medium or Rico reeds. Interestingly, in his later years, his Meyer lost its iconic metal ring, likely from wear or modification, giving it a stripped-down, worn-in look that fans recognize instantly. While the alto was his primary voice, Cannonball occasionally played soprano and tenor sax on recordings and live performances. On soprano, he favored a Selmer Mark VI, achieving a smooth, singing tone, while on tenor, he used it more sparingly, usually for contrast or texture in ensemble settings. What's inspiring about Cannonball is that he didn't chase gear. He found what worked and let his musicianship shine. His setup reminds us that personality is the ultimate piece of equipment. Garbarek, the Norwegian saxophonist known for his ethereal, spacious tone. Garbarek's sound is instantly recognizable, and his gear has stayed remarkably consistent. Early on, he played a Buffet Super Dynaction tenor sax, not a common choice, but one that perfectly suited his lyrical, restrained sound. His mouthpiece was a metal Berg Larsen with a small tip opening, around 0.85 millimeters, and a small chamber, giving him that pure, crystalline projection. Garbarek is also known for his work on soprano sax, often a Selmer Mark VI curved soprano with an ebonite Berg Larsen 6, producing that haunting, almost voice-like tone. Occasionally, he's also performed on alto sax, especially in earlier recordings, using a similar Berg-Larsen setup, but with a more open singing resonance. Though he's not a gear collector, Garbarek has also been linked with Ted Klum and Theo One mouthpieces in more recent years. Subtle evolutions rather than revolutions in his setup. His gear may seem simple, but in his hands it becomes something entirely his own, haunting, precise, and full of space. David Sanborn. David Sanborn is the king of the biting, expressive alto sax sound, that perfect mix of jazz, R&B, and pop. His main horn is a Selmer Mark VI alto from the late 60s, providing the punch and flexibility that define his tone. He played metal Dukoff mouthpieces for decades. Their brightness and edge were a huge part of his sonic signature. More recently, he's worked with Drake mouthpieces to develop the David Sanborn Master Series, a custom model tuned to replicate his familiar tonal balance. His reeds, usually Lavoz medium, meticulously adjusted for consistency. Sanborn's reed prep is legendary. He soaks, trims, and balances them until each one responds perfectly. Though the alto is his home base, Sanborn has also recorded on soprano and tenor saxophones, often using a Selmer Mark VI soprano for lyrical passages and a Mark VI tenor for deeper, bluesier material. But no matter which horn he picks up, that unmistakable Sanborn cry is right there. Love him or not, Kenny G has one of the most instantly recognizable soprano sax sounds on the planet. His main horn is a Selmer Mark VI soprano, famous for its smooth singing timbre. His mouthpiece of choice is a Dukoff D8, giving him brightness and projection paired with Hemke reeds, which lend warmth and subtle resistance. The perfect blend for his lyrical approach. He also has a distinctive playing posture, holding the horn slightly off to the side of his mouth, which he says helps with jaw alignment and comfort. But while the soprano is his calling card, Kenny G also plays alto and tenor saxophones, both Selmer Mark VIs. On tenor, he uses a Berg-Larsen metal mouthpiece, producing a richer, darker sound for his more R&B oriented tracks. On alto, his tone remains smooth, but with a brighter edge, used in live shows to vary his set's sonic texture. Kenny's setup is all about consistency and control. Every part of his rig is built for that endless, flowing, melodic line that defines his sound. From Brecker's high-tech precision to Cannonball's soulful simplicity, from Garbarek's Nordic minimalism to Sanborn's fire and Kenny G's polish, each of these artists found a setup that helped them speak their truth through the horn. Remember, the best setup is the one that lets you sound like yourself. Your gear should never get in the way. It should bring you closer to your sound.